Well, Matt, that was an ugly, ugly loss. And I
Yep.
got to say, you called it on the preview. You said, look, this is what you're going to get out of Nick Mullins. You can't expect him to do too much. Last week against the Giants was kind of an outlier. Don't expect him to do it again. What did you see exactly from him that made it be such a drastic difference from the Giants game?
Well, I said that the more you see of Nick Mullins, the less you're going to like. And we saw that absolutely in spades tonight. Let's just get this out of the way. If you're on Twitter and you're one of the people that were calling for Jimmy Garoppolo's job to go to Nick Mullins, you're an idiot. I've said this from day one. Nick Mullins is a backup quarterback. Okay? Micro Dick Nick showed up tonight, and he didn't do anything for this team. Stupid, stupid, stupid plays. People talk about the Jimmy throw. Both of his interceptions were absolutely atrocious. The first one was bad enough. The second one, I mean, that was one of the worst throws I've seen probably in a decade. The fumble was terrible. All night, the offense just looked terrible. And I think that this should put – I don't want to hear any more about Nick Mullins being anything other than a backup. Anything, ever again. Ever again. Okay? Now, if you feel that way, you're still welcome to come here because, we're not going to turn anybody away. We're not, just know that we don't think that your opinion's that good in that case. No offense, but yeah, absolutely. Nick Mullins is garbage. Garbage. I don't want to hear anything else. Okay? Nothing else. This was a depleted Eagles team. The 49ers were getting reinforcements. And other than George Kittle, I mean, Nick Mullins couldn't find his ass on a map if you dotted the X's for him. You know what I mean? Like, he had nothing going. So this should put to bed. And, I saw everybody on Twitter, too, that was like, can we put to bed the Nick Mullins thing? No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Where were you last week? You were nowhere. You Johnny-come-latelys. Listen, if you would have listened to me from the beginning, you would have understood, man, we need to get through these weeks with Nick Mullins, And I said it in the preview. I said it. If you don't contain Carson Wentz and you let him get out and make some plays and it gets into an ugly football game, the 49ers could be in trouble. And that's exactly what happened. They couldn't run the ball. They put the ball in Nick Mullins' hands. Nick Mullins made, terrible throw after terrible throw. The opening drive is a perfect example.
Yep.
First pass, slant. Kendrick Bourne, way too far in front of him. Like, totally off. Second pass. Kyle Juszczyk maybe has 6 if you get him that ball. Wide open. Couldn't make that play. And then you top 3 turnovers on top of it? No. Mm-mm.
I thought it was interesting that Kyle came out throwing 3 passes in a row in the first drive when I understand the Eagles defensive line is their strength. However, you have your backup quarterback in there. You can't ask him to be doing that. And the first 15, 20 plays are scripted. So that means that he came into tonight knowing I'm going to throw the first 3 passes right off the bat, straight in a row. That kind of got me a little off guard because we don't really even see that with Jimmy. Usually they come out there, they'll start off with a run, pass, maybe run again. And it's like with Nick Mullins back there, you're going to throw it 3 times in a row. And I just got to say this. How bad was the offensive line as a whole tonight? Trent Williams was getting bullied. And you don't see Trent Williams getting bullied much. It's like, what the hell is going on? Who poisoned this team's food? I don't understand what happened because that's not the same Trent Williams I'm used to seeing.
No.
And Big Mike, Slim Mike, I should say, he's getting. I tweeted earlier. He's getting pretty close to that B word, Matt. He's getting pretty damn close to it. I don't know what's going on with him, but mentally, he's not there. He's just not there. He's regressed a whole bunch since last season.
Absolutely. I think honestly, I think the scripted plays to pass were essentially because the Eagles had to pick up some guys off the garbage heap. Like, the Eagles are just as injured, if not more so, than the 49ers are. And the 49ers got reinforcements, and they still couldn't put up points. So, the blocking is terrible. We're talking about a team that relied on the run last year that can't run to save its life. Outside of a couple of big Mostert runs and a big McKinnon run, they haven't done anything. So they're one of the worst running teams in the league. And when you can't establish the run, I mean, you want to talk about the offensive line being bad. I mean, they absolutely were bad. But if you can't run the ball, I mean, your play actions aren't going to work. You're not going to be able to set anything up. Like, the defense doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't run the ball, then, like, who cares? All right, we're going to come after the quarterback now. Like, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, they didn't respect it at all. They did not respect it. They shouldn't have.
And the unfortunate thing today is that, like, for the most part, I think Dante Johnson played okay. He's gonna get totally torn apart for that touchdown, and that was a bad touchdown. But you're talking about, like, the defense had to be out there forever because just like, you force a punt, you go back out there, you get 3 and fumble, and then you give the ball to the Eagles in plus territory, and then they score a touchdown. It's just just a bad game all the way around. We didn't see Jermichael Hasty at all, which I was shocked by because McKinnon didn't do anything. Jeff Wilson Jr. came in and had, like, I don't know, 4 carries for like 5 yards. Like, put the kid in there, like, do something.
I was surprised to see them stick with McKinnon for as long as they did because nothing was working with him. No matter if it was an outside run, inside run, draw, nothing was working. He couldn't get it going. And I was kind of surprised to see Kyle not realize that and sense that and pull him. And once he did get Jeff Wilson in there, he had a little bit of success. I don't want to say a ton, obviously, but he had
3 carries for 6 yards. He didn't do shit.
It was more than getting stopped at the line repeatedly, which is what McKinnon was doing.
No, McKinnon had a better yards per carry average than Wilson did. McKinnon was 14 for 54.
Well, I'm sure as a whole, but at that moment, he just constantly kept getting stopped.
You gotta put the kid in and see what the kid can do because I mean, and I don't want to say it's all negative because I saw a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful screen pass that turned into a rushing attempt because it was behind the line. But that hurdle by Ayuk was fantastic. And so it's one of those things where you're just like, man, if you can get a quarterback out there that knows how to play the game and not a career backup like Nick Mullins is, micro dick noodle arm Nick, like, I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear about him ever again for as long as I live. Don't talk to me about that because that dude sucks. Okay, there's a reason why he went undrafted, and you're seeing it. And I said before the game, the more you see of him, the less you're going to like. And that came to fruition tonight. And it sucks that had to happen because this game was so winnable. I mean, CJ Beathard almost a victory. You know what I mean? Like, CJ Beathard came in and started tearing it up, in a 2-minute offense. And it's just like, it's one of those things where that almost made it worse when Beathard came in and started closing the gap and it got a little better or whatever. Like, that almost made it worse because it was like, well, when it's 25-14, you're just like, all right, well, whatever. We're not going to make it. It's fine, whatever. Mm-hmm. Then they go down the field, march down the field, score real quick. And then it's like, well, hold on a second. And then they 3 and out. And then they start marching down the field and you're like, oh, man, we could really do this only to have your heart broken. It's just, it sucks. The whole thing sucked. I thought Fred Warner played bad today. He looked a little lost on plays that I'm not used to seeing Fred Warner look that bad on. McKinnon sucked. The line was horrendous. I mean, the line was. I think we need to give Jimmy an appreciation award for what he does with that line because this whole season they've been blocking terribly. So, hopefully Jimmy can come back because. I mean, we can't be dropping games to the Dolphins because after the Dolphins, we have to go and play New England. And, we're getting into the tougher part of our schedule. Mm-hmm. And we should have came out of this game 3-1. And this was a total ball drop. This was a total away game. And it's super unfortunate.
It really is because, like you said, even with all of the injuries, how badly they played, up until most of the fourth quarter, this game was within the 49ers' fingertips. They should have won it. As soon as Nick threw that pick six, I knew there's no way they're winning with Nick under center.
Yeah.
And maybe they should have pulled him sooner. Who knows? But they had George and Debo back. They had enough people on offense to get the job done. Like you said, Philly was just as injured, if not more so. The only difference is they have Carson Wentz. And when it comes down to these kind of scratch games where it's either team, you obviously favor the better quarterback. Carson Wentz was by far the better quarterback tonight. And it's unfortunate because Nick played really well last week. And I've said it before, you ask of your backup quarterback, You can only expect 50% of the games they start to win. He won last week. He wasn't going to win this week, and I was just hoping for a better performance at least, man. But not at all. It was an ugly, ugly performance, and obviously there were some injuries too. We just heard from Ian Rappaport. Looks like newly signed Ziggy tore his bicep, so the help that the 49ers are getting is
he's done for this. If that's a thing, he's done for the season. He won't be back.
Yeah, he's gone. Verrett, I know, left with a hand injury. He came back. K-Wan was injured. I don't believe he came back. He kind of left twice. The second time he didn't come back.
Hip thing, I think that hip thing was really bothering him, and I think they needed him out there just for the sheer numbers game, but I don't know if he was ready to go and played a part. Yeah, man, injuries are still killing us, but you took an Eagles strength, which was their interior weaknesses, which is interior offensive line, and it wasn't good. It's not. I mean, and it's not like Carson Wentz was a world beater. It's not like the Eagles were world beaters. I mean, it's just the Eagles had 267 total yards of offense. The Niners had 4. Okay, the Eagles averaged 4.5 yards per play. This was literally a game of turnovers, and Nick Mullins, 49ers. This is on Nick Mullins. This is not on Kyle Shanahan. It's not on the defensive line. It's not on the offensive line. It's not anything, okay? When Nick Mullins threw that first pick, he should have eaten that ball. Trent Taylor hadn't even beaten his man to the spot, let alone the guy that dropped coverage to pick that off. Okay, the guy that was covering Trent didn't even pick it off. It was another guy that came forward because Nick Mullins couldn't stand to eat the ball. You cannot throw red zone interceptions. And then the second interception, I mean, what was he looking at? The DB was over the top, and the wide receiver normally, you can throw that unless the linebacker is sitting directly in your line of sight, like was there. I mean, they're showing the replay, and it's from the backfield view, and it's just like, wait, what are you even looking at, dude? Like, Are you trying to just stare a hole through the guy's head and hopefully you can, like, what?
It seemed like
high school quarterback wouldn't even make that throw.
Yeah, it seemed like even Chris Collinsworth was trying to defend it as they were showing the replay. And I know we're seeing this, but you got to remember the quarterback seeing something. It's like, no, there's no reason for him to make that throw. There's nobody there. Don't make that throw. Take the sack.
And it's not even like, so earlier in the day, Ryan Fitzpatrick threw a pick against Seattle, or a near pick against Seattle down near the red zone. And it was like, I think it was KJ Wright or Bobby Wagner or whatever. It was a weak side linebacker playing off zone that, came into the picture late, right? He read the quarterback and came in and almost picked off the ball or picked off the ball. I can't remember if it was an interception or not. But at least in that point, he wasn't directly in your line of sight like the linebacker here was. And I don't know what Beathard was looking at, or I'm sorry, not Beathard, Mullins was looking at or not looking at, but there's no excuse for that throw. I mean, that's a Johnny Manziel throw. That's a Colin Kaepernick against the Arizona Cardinals 4 picks in the first half type throw. Like, you cannot make those throws. You are not a starting quarterback in the NFL, sir.
No, not at all. And I think he made that clear tonight. There were a few positives. You touched on one.
Sure.
Let's touch on a couple while we can, because there really wasn't much pretty about this game. George Kittle, he was fantastic. 15 targets, 15 receptions, 183 yards, and a touchdown. You couldn't have asked for a better return outing for George Kittle.
No.
He did all he could to help Nick Mullins win this game. He should have targeted more, frankly, because if so,
maybe I do think that actually played a part in the problem. Is that Mullins didn't seem to have eyes for anybody other than George Kittle. And, I picked George Kittle to be my offensive MVP in the and that bore out because, Kittle is so dynamic. But, it was one of those things where it just seemed like if Kittle wasn't available for, whatever the offense was doing, the offense just stalled outside of that. There was like, in the first half, it's like, well, Kittle has this many, I think it was 5 catches for 83 yards in the first half. Mm-hmm. And it was like outside of that, Mullins maybe had like 2 or 3 completions for like 15 yards. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, just go to one guy. The whole purpose of the whole boon of Kittle and Debo coming back was that now it opens things up, especially against such a depleted secondary. And the fact that Mullins just didn't seem to, the play that he had the touchdown that everybody was like, man, Jimmy wouldn't have seen that throw on the backside. last week. None of that was there. There was no reading defenses. There was no moving through progressions. He seemed to panic. Everything's, oh God, what do I do? What do I do? Deer in the headlights look. And, it's kind of weird given that he had extra time to prepare. Just wonder if the big lights are a little bit too much for him. Maybe Kyle expanded the playbook. I don't know. But at the end of the day, 2 terrible turnovers, a fumble that you just can't have. Like, you can't throw those picks. You can't have that fumble. So, take that away, though. George Kittle was – I don't want to take away from George. Again, Ayuk dynamic, looked really, really good. It was good to see Debo out there. I know I said he wouldn't get any reverses. He definitely got and immediately lowered his shoulder into somebody. So, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, we said, that he wasn't going to do that, but he did. And that's what you get. So there were things here that you can build upon, especially if you get Jimmy back, especially with, this game against the Dolphins becomes critical now. You have to just smack the shit out of them. There's no room for error there. You have to beat them. You have to go to New England at 3-2. At this point, I hate to say it, this team is not going to win the division. I don't think so. I think they can make the playoffs as a wild card, especially with the extra slot. But, with the way Seattle's been playing, it's really hard. They're in 3rd place now. Actually, they might be in last, given that Arizona would have the head-to-head tiebreaker. So, it's going to be a struggle. And Jimmy's going to have to come back and lead this offense. And, hopefully Weston Richburg can come back off the pup. Hopefully Richard Sherman can come back. Hopefully we can get some of these reinforcements and kind of pick it up, because tonight was just sloppy. And if we don't get the play that we need to out of these guys, especially at the quarterback position, especially at the line position, people are going to be talking about the Super Bowl hangover, and it sucks, but
it's true. That's what it looks like. And I think this team didn't realize how much they would actually miss Weston Richburg, which I don't know why, because they missed him terribly when he was out last season. But interior offensive line has been a problem for this team going back to last season. And I think it was highlighted the most in the Super Bowl. And they did absolutely nothing about it in the draft, in free agency. They traded for Trent Williams, which is fantastic. However, they didn't do anything else. So it's like they need to address this interior offensive line, because if Jimmy comes back, it's no good if he gets beat up, every time he drops back anyway. He's not going to be able to stay healthy. So I just feel like they need to address that in order to have any success moving forward. Hopefully Richburg comes back. He's not rusty. Hopefully he's able to step in and produce at a high level right away. Also, I thought that I was hoping to get to see – we're a quarter through the season now. I was hoping to see Trent Taylor a little more involved. I know things are kind of different because Mullins has been in there for a few games, 2.5, and Jimmy was only in there, but still, haven't really seen much of Trent Taylor.
No, I think he's done.
This and to add on to that, the special teams play of this team is non-existent.
Terrible.
Fair catches, catch for a yard here and there. They need some help. A good team.
How about the Dante Pettis catch the punt return, juke in place for 2 yards, and then get tackled and go absolutely nowhere?
Yeah.
Can we just get rid of Dante Pettis already? He's pissing me off. Like, he's an absolute waste of roster spot. Everybody knows he's a bust of a pick. He's never going to amount to anything. He can go and raise cats with the Seattle Seahawks cheerleader girlfriends, whatever. Do what you got to do. You're not a football player, dude. Fuck out of here. I'm tired of Dante Pettis on this team. He's wasting a roster spot. Trent Taylor, listen, you had potential, but I think injuries have sapped you of the little athleticism that you had. You're not a guy, dude. It's time to go. These are things we're really going to have to address. And I know you talked about interior O-line, being a real issue and not addressing it. Listen, cornerback, we did not address it. And it showed tonight. Okay. Yep. We are so thin at the corner position. It's absolutely a joke. Again, Dante Johnson, and it's unfortunate because he played okay for most of the game, but he was playing against bums. I mean, that guy that caught the touchdown pass. Have you ever heard of that dude before? Fergham?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Fergham.
Didn't even
You
know
let
he
a
was in
dude
the NFL.
named Fergham burn you, right? The ball was right there. All you had to do was reach up one of your grubby little mitts, and you could have knocked the ball away. And you did nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yep.
This is
And
a joke.
everything that we saw positive from Jason Verrett, I know he got injured early on, but I mean, he didn't really look great this week at all. And adding on to Dante Johnson, there was a play where I believe Carson Wentz was split out wide and Jalen Hurts was under center, and Carson Wentz was blocking Johnson. It's like, dude, you're getting punked by the quarterback. And look, don't get me wrong. I know Carson Wentz is 6'5", 2 something, but as a defensive player, when you have the green light to actually hit the quarterback, that's when you do it. When you're not going to get flagged for it, and he got punked by him. So that was atrocious. But Matt, I want to read off to you the 49ers gauntlet stretch, because after next week when they have the Dolphins, they have the Rams. It looks like they have the Rams at home, and then they go to New England, and then they go to Seattle, and then they come back home for the Packers. They go to New Orleans, they go to the Rams, and then they come back home for the Bills. How tough is that 7-game stretch going to be, even with Jimmy back?
It's a brutal stretch. There's I mean, the Dolphins, again, you have to go in and smack the Dolphins, because if you can come out of that the 6 games after that, if you can come out of that 3-3, I mean, that's going to be fortunate, you know. New Orleans, always a tough place to play. We have to play there in New Orleans for the 2nd year in a row. And I know Drew Brees hasn't been that great, but whatever, you know, he'd still. Green Bay, you know, you should be able to smack them around. But again, this team has shown that the games you think that they are going to win easily turn into these slugfests, you know. Division games always tough. With the way Seattle's playing right now in Seattle, that's going to be a tall task for the 49ers. And the Rams, you know, you never know which Rams team you're going to get. One week they're going to put up 40. The next week they're going to put up 17 like they did today against the Giants. So you never know. You know, you just hope that Jimmy gets back. A-Stat saying CJ Mullins against the Dolphins. I bet you dollars to donuts that it's going to be Jimmy. I think after 2 weeks that he is going to get back in there, because I just don't see them rolling out these, you know, on fire dumpsters out there under center to ruin this team's season any more than it's already happened. So yeah, it's bad. Tonight was just bad. It was
ugly all around. I was tweeting with somebody and they were trying to say that it's mainly on Mullins. And while I do agree it's mainly on Mullins, it's not all on him. He was the darkest spot out there, but there are plenty of other dark spots, including Trent Williams, including Mike McGlinchey. You know, the defensive backs looked bad. Defense, they couldn't really get home on any of the pressures they were having. It just didn't make any sense. I mean, they were allowing Wentz to kind of just escape out of the pocket, knowing how deadly he gets once he rolls out. And then sure enough, he would either scramble for a first down or find a receiver down the field 15 yards for a first down. So it was so frustrating. So frustrating. But another bright spot I do want to talk about, is Carrie Hyder. He's looked good for the third, fourth week in a row since he's been on this team.
Yeah.
He looked good. And you said it in the group chat during the game. He has really, really great play recognition once it's happening. Yep. He's able to kind of sniff it out and know what's going on. I think there was an end around, if I remember correctly, and he sniffed it out right away. And he pulled back on his block and got it. And then he was able to allow Tart tackle for a 12-yard tackle for loss. So Carrie Hyder has looked pretty good. And I know it's impossible to replace Nick Bosa and the production you get out of Bosa, but Hyder's, I would say he's average quality starter in the league at that position. So the 49ers kind of lucked out by getting a veteran in Carrie Hyder.
Yeah, and, again, I think the defense overall actually played pretty well. I think they were let down by the offense and stretch. It's tough when the offense has 3 turnovers, and, I know they got the 1 interception off of Wentz early. Shire got the interception. But, when you're turning the ball over like your territory, a few times you're having 3 and outs, the defense is going to get tired. And we saw that. And, I think for the most part, the defense played pretty well. Again, Dante Johnson gave up that touchdown, but that notwithstanding, I thought Eric Armstead was all over the field. I thought that he played pretty well. So they had a couple sacks, not as many as you would like. I think that's a scheme issue. I think that mobile quarterbacks, because we saw it later in the game too. There was that play where they brought Taylor in at DB, and it looked. I mean, I told I told my wife who was watching the game with me. I was like, watch, they're going to target him, and brilliantly, Robert Saleh ran a corner blitz with Taylor, and they sacked Wentz on that play. So, maybe it's a thing of where Saleh might need to dial up more blitzes, especially as the backfield gets a little more healthy. Maybe Kittle comes back, maybe Sherman's back, and, you could dial up some more blitzes. But, what do we think about Kinlaw? I didn't think Kinlaw did anything tonight. I don't remember hearing his name at all.
He didn't do enough to show up on the stat sheet. I saw him kind of get pressure in a couple plays, but for the most part, this was kind of his worst game, I would argue, this season.
Yeah.
He played pretty well in the first 3 games. This game, he didn't really do much. I would hope for a better outing from him because the Eagles' offensive line was equally as beat up as the rest of their team was. So I was hoping that the 49ers would be able to get home on some of these sacks, and Kinlaw especially, but he wasn't really able to do that, and that was unfortunate to see.
Yeah.
I'm going through some of the quotes here, Matt. Nick Mullins on why it was so hard for him to get into a rhythm. That's a good question.
Because I suck and I have a noodle arm.
And didn't execute, and that's all it really comes down to. Yeah. And then, Kyle Shanahan asked if Jimmy Garoppolo, when he'd be ready to go. Not sure. Hopefully he'll be ready to go by Wednesday, but I'm not sure yet. Do you think he's being a little coy on that?
I just don't think he cares to answer the question right now. If it was me, I wouldn't want to talk to the media, and I'm going to give them the most platitude-laden answers that I can give them. After a tough loss like this, I'd be pissed off and want to get the hell out of Dodge. You know what I mean? And it's just like, all right, well, let's go back to the drawing board and see what we can do. We got, a pretty crappy Dolphins team rolling in, and we need to beat the brakes off of them. And, maybe that's the layup that Jimmy needs. So, and with Nick Mullins, like, what is he supposed to say? Like, what he should say is, I'm fucking trash, and I shouldn't be the quarterback for the 49ers because I make dipshit decisions with football. But he's not going to say that. He's going to be like, well, that's on me, and, I've got to play better, and I've got to execute, and, I got to do all this stuff, and if we do all that stuff, then, guys put me in position to make great plays, and I just didn't do it, blah, blah, blah. It's the same shit you hear from everybody. It's not anything special. You know what I mean? Like, the guys that made plays. Listen, George Kittle showed up tonight, played his ass off, played fantastically. Yep. Brandon Ayuk played his ass off. You know what I mean? He made great plays. Debo, for the limited amount that he was out there, tried to make plays. So, it's
they look good.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, they look good. They just, we've said it as soon as Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas went down, along with a handful of other key starters, Richard Sherman, D Ford. We said, this offense isn't going to be able to depend on their defense keeping them in games like they did last year. They can't keep doing that. The offense is going to need to start putting up 30 a game in order to win. They did it the last 2 weeks. This week they came out flat. And I think, we both said it, but I think you said it mainly on the preview, is that as long as they don't come out looking ahead, as long as they don't come out looking towards Miami, looking to any of these other tougher games, they should be fine. It looks like that's exactly what they did. It looks like they came out overlooking and underestimating the Eagles, who were a hungry team. And as bad as they've been, if they win tonight, they're in first place in the NFC East, which is ridiculous because they came into tonight 0-2-1.
Right.
And they were hungry. They wanted it more than the 49ers wanted it. And I think that was obvious because they went out there and fought for it. The 49ers didn't really fight for it. And it all started on offense. Nick Mullins couldn't lead drives. There was that sequence that you talked about. They just got that Jamar Taylor sack. They got the Eagles punting from, their own side of the field. And then I tweeted out right when it happened. The 49ers need to have a long drive here that ends in some points. They cannot ask their defense to go right back out there after they just gifted them a short field. And what do? 2 plays later, Mullins is scrambling out there and fumbles. It's just like, oh my God, you couldn't ask for them to do less because they literally did the least possible out there as a whole. But yeah, I saw I forget who commented on there. Ayuk Britt 125. Yeah, Ayuk looked great in the few times they did have the ball. I'm really excited to see what he's turning into, the weapon he's turning into for the 49ers. He essentially went into that end zone untouched, and they even said it on the broadcast. I don't know if that hurdle counts as a broken tackle.
That hurdle was sick.
It was amazing. So sick. Yeah, it was amazing. I haven't seen anything like that from any 49ers in a long time. So
I was just like, oh my God, that was amazing. Yeah, and it's just so we have the playmakers. We should have started Jeff Wilson Jr. Jeff Wilson Jr., listen, I know. Why does everybody want to crown these shitty backups, man? They're shitty backups for a reason. Jeff Wilson Jr. is not the guy. Just like Cargo Plane McKinnon is not the guy. Mostert looks like the guy, you know? We need to see what we get from JaMychal Hasty to see if he's the guy. You know, there are plays that you can make, but like Jeff Wilson Jr. has been here for years. We know what he is. He's a short yardage back, can give you maybe occasional juice out of the backfield, but he had 3 carries for 6 yards. He didn't do anything today. It's not like he would have gotten through that line. The key thing with with Mostert is that Mostert has speed. If he gets past one guy, boom, he's gone. You saw it, 23 miles an hour against the Jets.
Yep.
You know, once he gets to the edge, he's gone. These other guys, Cargo Plane McKinnon, slow as shit. Jeff Wilson Jr., slow as shit. At least JaMychal Hasty has wiggle and looks like he has speed. This team is built for speed in the running game, especially with the interior O-line blocking really bad. Like, it is what it is. You need to get those guys out on the edge and in space and then go from there. But, yeah, man, you're not going to win any battles with McKinnon or Jeff Wilson Jr., you know?
No, not at all. A quote from Fred Warner here on being 0-2 at home. You know, it just shows that there's no urgency, essentially. I just lost the quote here, but he pretty much just said, they asked him, what does it show that you guys are 0-2 at home and you won your 2 games on the road? That there's no urgency. They don't feel like they need to get it done. And maybe that's because they played, you know, the week 1, you could kind of chalk up to a fluke. The Cardinals haven't looked as good as they did in week 1 since. But this game, I think this game specifically.
Hold on. Davey Yang in the comments. No, he's not. Mostert is not the most famous player on the offense. Jimmy Garoppolo is. Stop. Mostert is not. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything.
Yep.
So no. And I just want to revisit the 0-2 at home and 2-0 on the road. Let's remember the 2-0 on the road is against the Giants and the Jets. Okay, this has been a very easy early schedule. This team very well could be 4-0 rather than 2-2. They should be 4-0. So this is concerning going forward. Very concerning going forward. Because I mean, it's almost impossible to lose to the Jets and Giants at this point. They're so terrible. And you think in the comforts of your own home that you would come out sharp, you would come out and you want to play. And, you know, both games have been flat. And even in the first game against Arizona, at least the offense could get some stuff going. You know what I mean? It wasn't great, and Jimmy made some bad plays, but it wasn't anything like tonight. Tonight was even worse. So the team has to get past these injuries. Otherwise, it's going to be a long year, and then we're going to be playing for 2021 when half of our team is going to be free agents after this year. So I mean, the window is really, really, really closing fast, and you know we don't want to downgrade back to the Chip Kelly / Mike Nolan / Mike Singletary days.
No, I don't even want to hear those names.
Exactly, but. I mean, it's something we kind of have to look at, you know, like they didn't address corner at all. It's so baffling to me. They didn't draft a corner. They didn't sign a corner. They didn't do anything. And you're talking about Akella Witherspoon, Emmanuel Mosley, Richard Sherman, like everybody is going to be a free agent. What are you going to do? What are you going to stock the cupboard with? There's holes on this team that legitimately need filling, and I don't know that we have the space to do it with. So,
The team
I don't
was
think
bad.
the team is bad. I don't think the team is bad. I think the team is
I know
struggling.
they
I think
were.
there's a difference between a struggling team and a bad team. I don't think it's a bad team. I think injuries have really hampered the team, and they're not overcoming the adversity well. So,
No, not at all. And it's a lot to ask of your backup quarterback when nobody else is kind of performing well, or not. I don't want to say nobody because there were good people out there, were good performances out there. I should say Kittle had a good performance, Ayuk had a good performance, but Mullins for the most part held the offense back. And I do think if Jimmy was out there, it would have been a totally different story, even
right.
with all of the pieces that were missing on both sides. So yeah, I agree with Matt there. And you got to wait and see when Jimmy gets back. Who knows how much different this team's going to be because he looked really, really good. And I know it was against the Jets, so you can discount that all you want, but he looked great making some of the throws, escaping from pressure, rolling out
Right.
before he left with that ankle injury. So I'm just excited to see once he gets back what he can actually do now that he'll have Debo, Kittle, and Ayuk kind of coming into his own all at his disposal. And hopefully it starts this Sunday against the Dolphins because the 49ers, they don't have any more time to waste. The NFC West is the best division in football. The Seahawks are looking like by far, maybe right up there with Kansas City, although Kansas City would dominate them just due to the Seahawks' horrible defense. Their offense is looking as good as anyone.
I'm going to disagree with you on that because Seattle's defense is garbage. I think they've given up, other than the Dolphins, they've given up 30 points in every game this season. Like they give you points for free, and they struggle. Yeah. I mean, the Dolphins kicked like 18 field goals today. If they could scored any touchdowns, it would have been far closer. No, I just wonder, Jimmy with the running game. I wonder because people crap on Jimmy all the time, and announcers crap. People in the know understand what Jimmy Garoppolo brings to the table, and I wouldn't be surprised if opposing teams, if our run game was successful. Because they have to worry about what Jimmy Garoppolo can do. You know what I mean? And with Nick Mullins, it's like, I'm not scared of Nick Mullins. If Nick Mullins is going to beat me, he's going to beat me. Who cares? If he beats me, then so be it. We were going to lose anyway, right? But you don't want to let the run game beat you, So I don't know, man. I'm just this whole situation is confusing because I don't think Kyle's calling terrible plays. I think the plays are there. Just bad play from, I mean, the line was, I would say, at least above average last year.
Yeah.
They just look terrible this year. It's been
bad every week. I would argue it's gotten worse as the season
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing of where like these guys. Did you forget how to use your hands? Did you forget how to get them into somebody? I mean, we've seen people get blown by. And McGlinchey, somebody get that man a sandwich. How much weight has he lost?
Yeah, it's been like bad, man. He looks really thin. He's slim Mike. He's not big Mike anymore. No. And maybe it was just me, but watching tonight, it looked like he could have been called for a false start on every single play because he's so terrified of getting bull rushed that he's moving that foot back early on every single snap. It's like, dude, have some confidence in your play. He's like a giant baby out there. He's getting pushed around by everybody. Backups, people they just signed off the street. It doesn't matter. Mike McGlinchey is getting pushed all over the field. And I don't understand why the 49ers invested the pick that they did if this is what they're going to get as far as the return on their investment because he's getting, like I said, close to that bust word. And there's not much time for him to prove it. I saw Nick Newman from All 49ers Sports Illustrated. He posted a clip on Mullins, I believe, first interception. And McGlinchey just gets beat, man. He's just getting it's sad. He's the sole reason why Nick throws that. And look, it's not the right read. Don't get me wrong.
It's the sole reason why Nick was under pressure, but Nick needs to hold on to that fucking ball.
Don't bail out Nick on that. I'll say it that way. He was the reason why.
You cover it. Jimmy would have eaten that ball. Jimmy would have held that ball and just taken the sack.
The reason why Nick made the decision.
No. I'm not going to let you do this. You cannot throw that ball in the red zone. I don't care who you are.
I'm not saying.
I don't care what kind of pressure. You just eat that ball. So
I agree.
Yes, he was under pressure, but don't throw that ball.
I agree. I'm just saying he's under pressure because McGlinchey gave up
Yes.
completely. Just got bull rush and made look like a giant.
No, he
baby
did get bull rush.
Nick made a horrible decision. I'm not defending that.
It was weird though on that play. Did you notice though that Mullins seemed to be almost directly behind McGlinchey on that? Like he drifted to McGlinchey's side, and weird to me because it's like, well, the whole purpose of the pocket as a tackle is supposed to give a little bit to create this like U shape around you. If you just drift where McGlinchey's going, well, I mean that just lets the guy get to you quicker. But McGlinchey is. Maybe they need to kick McGlinchey inside or something. I don't know, dude, but he is not
suggesting that. It wasn't pretty.
No, and it goes back to those things where I remember when he got drafted, he played left tackle at Notre Dame. And who was the guy that he played right next to? Do you remember?
No.
Quentin Nelson.
That's right. Yeah,
and so people were saying, is he actually good, or is Quentin Nelson so good that he covers up for McGlinchey's bullshit? And I think we're finding out that Quentin Nelson was just that good, and McGlinchey was overhyped as a draft pick. So, it's unfortunate that the 49ers kind of get stuck with that. But, I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. He looks so light. He looks like he's 260 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like crazy thin.
Super thin. I don't know if he's like just someone shovel some fucking food in his mouth. You know what I mean? Like just feed the man. Just get him nice and fat,
Hashtag feed Slim Mike. I want to address a comment here, Matt. What do you guys think about Kinlaw dancing at the line when they were trailing late in the fourth? I personally didn't see it. However, I never like that. If your team is down and if you have a play or whatever the case is to make you celebrate, that's an individual accomplishment. Keep that shit in your mind because your team is down. And I think it was Steve Young or Jerry Rice came out a couple of weeks ago saying that, the receiver shouldn't have been dancing when the Niners were down. What's your take on it?
I mean, it's a kid being a kid, but I'm sure he's going to get hemmed up for that. I'm sure that Salah's going to talk to him. I'm sure that Armstead's going to talk to him and be like, "Hey, dude, if you got time to dance, you got time to buckle down and get more than 2 fucking tackles in the game." So it is what it is, and you hate to see it. I hate that too. I hate when, you're down by 21 and you catch a pass and you get a first down and you signal for a first down. It's like nobody cares that you got a first down, dude. You're down by 3 touchdowns. Like, get out of here. I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, go do your business, handle your business, and the fun stuff will come. But you have to take care of the serious stuff first. And I'm not that. Listen, I'm a San Diego Padres fan. I love it when Fernando Tatis does his bat flips, and I think that stuff is cool. Like, celebrate, hype yourself up, but there's a time and a place for that. And there's a time and a place to be serious. And, dancing at the line in the fourth quarter when you're down, I don't know if that's the time and the place. So, I don't know.
Not at all.
Mullins does not have a clutch gene. Mullins doesn't have a strong arm gene. Okay. So Mullins was terrible. I cannot stress how terrible Nick Mullins was.
Yeah, it's funny because I think it was Derek Barnett. I forget who tweeted it out, but after Mullins' first interception, Derek Barnett kind of walked off of the field, trailing Mullins, talking crap to him, saying, I didn't get exactly what he was saying, but he was talking crap to him, probably telling him he's a crappy quarterback. And I tweeted out, Kyle probably said, "Thanks, Derek, I'll take it from here," and went ahead and continued to chew him out because that's how bad Mullins was tonight. He was atrocious at times and okay at best. I mean, there was I think he had one pretty throw that I think we texted each other like, okay, that was a nice throw there. But for the most part,
that was that deeper pass to George Kittle.
That's right. Yeah.
But then he followed it up 2 throws later with the pick.
Yep, exactly. That's what it is. That's what it was with him tonight. So it's like the 49ers couldn't have won this game. And if they did, they shouldn't have won this game because they played poorly on just about all aspects of the game. They did not play well enough to win. So they got what they deserved, unfortunately. That's the ugly truth of it all. They did not deserve to win this game. No. And I don't think that's a stretch by any means.
No, and I think they're going to get chewed in practice this week. Is going to blow a gasket.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
And he should. This was terrible play all the way around. The line especially. I mean, who's the O-line coach for the 49ers this year?
Is it Chris Forster? Or is he
okay? Well, fire that man. Like, they're bad. I don't know what they're doing, but it's not. I mean, bust out the old school John Madden 5-man sled. Get out there on the sleds and have them hit and put their hands on something, because whatever they're doing is just garbage. You cannot have the game that they had today. There's no excuse for that. Today was, on top of being sloppy, there were effort issues. Never want to see that from your team. Just unacceptable play all the way around. I'm so disappointed. And they lost by 5. They had a chance to win it, but it felt like such a bigger loss than that. It felt like they were just behind the 8 ball the whole night. And it's unfortunate, man, because they have so much more potential than what they showed. And, it's just really unfortunate that in such a win, it's, it would have been one thing if this team had come in, if we would have came in and we were playing somebody like the Seahawks or somebody like that, somebody really good, right? And we lose. Then it's like, well, okay, we're injured. That's a hard thing. The Eagles are scuffling. Carson Wentz is scuffling. He's trying to save his career. And we come out and drop a deuce like that on the field, just like caught with our pants down, can't play well. You know what I mean? Like,
it was bad. And I mean,
yeah.
This team hadn't won a game up until this point. They tied last week with the Bengals, for Christ's sake. So This wasn't the best team in the NFC by any means. And the 49ers go out there completely flat, lay an egg in all aspects. Defense couldn't stop anybody. The one adjustment I was finally thrilled to see was Saleh keep somebody there for the bootleg, because Wentz kept, faking the handoff, running it for a first down. It was like clockwork. And finally, Saleh kept, a defender there who was able to kind of stop that, and you didn't really see too much of that after it. So you don't see too many adjustments from Saleh for whatever reason. Sometimes he makes them, but for the most part, it's like they just continue doing it. This whole season, they've struggled with mobile quarterbacks, even quarterbacks. I mean, Daniel Jones had that like 40-yard run against a few weeks ago or last week. So it's just like, come on, man. He needed to do something. He finally did it. So that was promising to see. Moving on here, Matt. Semper coach. McGlinchey must eat weight gain powders, maybe Ohio State to be his weight coach, and we need to learn how to deal with the blitz better. We don't right now.
And Miami is a great game to get right before you go into that hard part of your schedule. Again, maybe Sherman's able to come back. We don't know. Maybe Jimmy's able to come back. You start getting healthier. And then some of these little ticky-tack, procedural issues go away because you have the veterans and the guys who are supposed to be in there are in there, rather than, Mullins. But again, I'm going to say this again. I don't want to hear shit about Mullins being a starting quarterback and taking Jimmy's job anymore. Let's just that's buried. That's dead. So that's dead.
In response to why Sway, Carson broke 8 sacks. He's known for breaking sacks. Good game. Give Wentz respect. He's a magician.
I mean,
breaking sacks. Look, the second game wasn't him. For the most part, it wasn't like he was struggling out of or shaking out of 49ers defenders. They just weren't touching him at all. They would get pressured, get close to him, and then he would spin out, scramble out of the pocket, whatever the case was. But it wasn't really them.
He didn't. Other than the big run, he didn't get a lot on the ground, and he was 18 for 28 for 193. Again, I don't think the defense was the issue. It was Mullins turning the ball over.
It was, yeah.
That was the issue because I put the defense on the heels. I thought overall the defense played okay. Like that touchdown again to Dante Johnson was, not the best. And, the touchdown that Wentz ran in when he put Jimmy Ward on skates down near the goal line, that wasn't great. But other than that, I mean, the defense played okay. If you take those 3 turnovers away, do you think that the Eagles score 25 points? No, they don't.
No. I mean, the 49ers defense, on the other hand, gave the 49ers a short field from Al-Shair's interception for the beginning of the game. I don't even think they got 3 points out of that, if I'm remembering correctly.
No.
Which was horrible.
No. Exactly. So here, I'm going to give you some stats. If I had told you that the Eagles, that Carson Wentz, you get an interception off Carson Wentz, that the Eagles would have 267 total yards of offense, and their third down efficiency was 4 for 13, you would have told me the 49ers would have blown them out.
Yeah.
And instead they lose because Nick Mullins just shit the bed.
Man, it's just so frustrating because
I know
the
it's
game
really
was theirs
tough.
for the taking. It was theirs for the taking, and it was. I mean, all the 49ers offense needed to do was show up. All Nick Mullins needed to do was not turn the ball over. I mean,
Exactly.
Jesus Christ, if he doesn't make those
Yep.
interceptions and the fumble, they likely win the game. But they couldn't do it.
Hey, Nick Mullins, I know you just scored. I know you just threw for 350 yards and put up 36 on the Giants. Here, have some offensive weapons back so that you can go and shit the bed with 3 turnovers and fucking score 14 points before you get yanked for CJ fucking Beathard.
Yeah. Matt, real quick here. Thoughts on trade for Ryan Kerrigan if the season pans out?
I mean, what are you going to trade for Ryan Kerrigan? Ryan Kerrigan's going to be 32. He gets injured a lot too. He's good, but then again, you're going to get Nick Bosa back. Like, how much defense? Like, why does everybody want to keep bolstering the defensive line?
Yeah,
they have a ton of we have no. How about interior offensive line? How about
corner?
You know, like how about some of these other positions where we actually have need? You know, so that PFF isn't projecting us to draft Travis Etienne in the first round, right? Like, come on. Yeah. We need more of the defensive line. I mean, it's cool. Ryan Kerrigan's cool and all, but there's bigger holes in this team than defensive line. That's why when they drafted Kinlaw, I was like, oh my God, another defensive lineman.
Like, I know, we were live. We
come
were
on,
like,
man.
Oh, okay. That's a great perk.
Yeah. Yeah. There was opportunities out there to get, you know, a top flight corner or, you know, something else in that position, you know.
They didn't do it. Weissway should have continued going to Kittle because he couldn't stop him at all. They went to him 15 times. I mean, he hauled in everything Nick Mullins threw his way. It's hard to ask more of him. I mean, essentially, CJ went to him for the final play, and it was, you know, it's a Hail Mary at that point. It's a toss. But, I mean, they couldn't ask too much more of George Kittle. He did everything that was asked of him. Davey, we're going to wrap things up here, guys. So send in your questions before we wrap them up. Fumble by Nick hurt. Yeah, it hurt a lot. Just as much as that pick 6. Coach, we did mention special teams is horrible. There's no nothing special about the special teams at all. Just like you said, They were flat. A couple of yards on max at each return. It's been atrocious. I don't know what's going on. They need to get things going.
Can we talk about that really, really odd on attempt, that like drop kick kind of thing from Robbie Gould? That so you know, we were in position to, you know, we marched down the field with CJ Beathard and we were almost in position to score. And then it comes back to that with all that time left, instead of having Wisnowski try to boot it out of the back of the end zone, we try that weird, odd, I don't know, man. Special teams sucks. This special teams here sucks. Other than Robbie Gould kicking field goals, it sucks.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that it didn't bounce the way he wanted it to, but still the question is, why did you go for the onside to begin with?
Yeah.
Even Grant Cohn tweeted out, you know, the bottom line is if the 49ers start that last drive from their 40 instead of their 12, they likely win the game. Yeah, they likely go ahead and win the game, but nope, they went ahead and made that onside kick, that weird onside kick, who the 49ers had no chance of recovering because it went to only an eagle. So it's like, you know, I don't know. That was a weird play. I don't really understand that.
How long do you think it'll be until people say that CJ Beathard should start over Jimmy Garoppolo?
Hopefully never, because I'm hoping that Jimmy comes back next week. And
we know how out of pocket 49ers Twitter gets, though.
It gets really bad, but if everything pans out correctly, that should be all we see of CJ this year. Hopefully Jimmy comes back Sunday, and CJ, you performed admirably when needed, but hopefully your services are no longer needed. Good, sir. Yep. How about a shutdown corner? That's what this team desperately needs, especially with the majority of their corners being free agents after the season. They need to address it right now, moving forward.
Or at least a cornerback. I would take a consistent corner, let alone a shutdown corner.
Yes.
Like just somebody who's consistently pretty good. Yep. You know what I mean? Not the ups and downs that you have with the Akellos or the Emmanuel Mosley who gets chewed up by DeAndre Hopkins. You know, like just get the guy that goes out there and performs. You know, like people don't talk about K'Wan Williams enough. K'Wan Williams is a stud, man, at that slot corner. And you see, like when he's injured, you see what kind of stuff happens. So even a guy like that who's just really, really consistent and is available keep the guys healthy. That would be the most important thing to me. So, hopefully that's part of what happens when Sherman comes back. I hope that people are still scared of Sherman and that takes away part of the field. You know what I mean? So it's just something's got to give. This has just been a weird, and 2020 has been weird in general, but for the 49ers, this has been a weird start to the season, man.
Yeah, it really has been. And, Sherm's been surviving off of his name alone and his reputation for pretty much the whole time he's been with the 49ers. So hopefully that continues. Coach, again, special teams doesn't lose games, but they don't win any either. This is the perfect game to do so. 100%. If they get that onside kick, or even if they boot it through the end zone, pin the Eagles back deep, the 49ers stopped them, had a timeout or two left, if I'm remembering correctly, however the case was. They should have won the game if they would have won the game if they kicked that.
Yeah. And I get the thought. I get the thought behind that onside kick simply because you need Wishnowsky to boot it out of the back of the end zone, because if you don't, then they're just going to bring it out anyway to kill the 2-minute warning. So I get it from that perspective, but the execution of that onside kick. I mean, when's the last time Robbie Gould lined up for an onside kick? Like when?
Yeah, it was very bad. It was horrible. It's like you might as well have just kicked it.
That's just something like when you watch practice, as a reporter or whatever, and you just see Robbie Gould futzing around on the other field, just soccer kicking stuff. You're like, what's he doing? It's like, I'm practicing onside.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, but that's not a real practical thing. Not everybody is the Atlanta Falcons who will just completely.
Oh my God.
Throw up all over themselves.
Yeah. Even the announcers had said themselves, this is usually kickers will kick something crazy, before the game just to see if they can do it. Let's see if Robbie can do it. I don't know what that was. I hope that wasn't what he was intending to do, because the 49ers had no chance of getting that ball. If so, David Yang, that drive took CJ almost 4 minutes. Could have been faster. Probably. It definitely could. He was rusty. He hadn't played in how long?
Hold on. Are you talking about the scoring drive? Because CJ Beathard took 4 minutes to score 6 points because the two-point conversion didn't work. Whereas Nick Mullins had 3 quarters to score 14. So, I mean, you can complain about a 4-minute drive, but he put points on the board and they put him in position to win at the end of the game. It didn't happen, but and so the last play of the game too, I almost thought that with Bunch on the right side, I thought that they were going to run it short because the Eagles looked like they were in deep thirds. Mm-hmm. I thought they were going to, because there were 7 seconds on the clock. I thought they could have ran a 10-yard out towards the sideline or whatever to pick up the first down and then take a shot from closer. But that didn't happen. But no, I really think that Beathard came in, and I mean, you're coming in as the backup quarterback, the backup to the backup for the injured starter, and you're essentially running 2-minute drill the whole time you're in, and you march down the field twice and are a deflection away from perhaps winning the game. I don't know. I thought he did well, all things considered. Not that I want to see CJ Beathard anytime soon. That's a thought. And when he came in, I was like, oh my God, how bad is this?
Yeah,
all the air out of the Nick Mullins is the best balloon. Just the rest of it just came flying out because no one's left on that bandwagon. The wheels broke off. It's time to take that thing to the junkyard and just leave it there. I mean, just you get replaced by CJ Beathard, you suck.
It was bad. That's what kind of amazed me about all this, is because even after all of that, it still came down to the last play. I think that just goes to show you the 49ers should have won this game a lot before it came down to any of this. They were in position to win it. And if Nick Mullins doesn't make a few boneheaded mistakes, they likely do. And even that last play, I mean, CJ threw it exactly where it needed to be. It kind of went into Debo's hands, and then Kittle almost caught it, and then it was broken up. So it was a just kind of up and down, kind of play. But I mean, it was fitting for this game because it was just so ugly all 4 quarters on both sides. They just couldn't get it going. But guys, I think that's going to do it for us today. Unfortunately, the 49ers are now 2-2. They couldn't get the job done. Nationally televised game looked like a complete joke. Let's hope they get Jimmy back, because they need to get some respect back. That's for sure, especially with themselves.
Yeah, go ahead and guys, like, we appreciate you being here tonight. Go ahead and check us out over the course of the week. We're going to talk about what the 49ers need to do in terms of getting back on track against the Dolphins and what we can expect out of them going forward and everything like that. So fitting we would lose, but I hate Bill Vinovich.
Thank you.
He's terrible. I hate that guy. Thank you for saying that, David. He sucks. I saw him on the schedule and I was like, oh no. This guy, he was in the Super Bowl last year and couldn't call us a holding call to save our lives.
Not a single one.
So, yeah. So anyway, we have a winnable game against the Dolphins. Let's hope that the team gets stuff back in order. Let's hope Jimmy comes back. We'll talk about in the week. So thank you guys for joining us. It was a tough loss, but season's only a quarter of the way through. We got plenty of football left. So hopefully we can get back on track and march towards the playoffs, because once we're in the dance, anything goes.
That's right. And thanks, Coach, for the kind words. We do appreciate you all tuning in. Catch us live after every game, after the press conferences. We will be here live with you guys, recapping the game, taking questions, giving our thoughts. So make sure you check on Twitter and on YouTube. We will be live on both platforms. And I think I'll end with this. Let's just go to bed tonight happy that we're not the Dallas Cowboys. Thanks, guys.